What's up guys, it's me Jeremy, and welcome to my guide on how to counter the bot lane duo of Corki and Leona. I've made a guide for them, so it's only fair that I make what is essentially a guide on how to beat them. Now, to counter any matchup, you need to understand the strengths and weaknesses of those champions, and do your best to avoid the strengths and then capitalize on the weaknesses. Let's go over their strengths first. The first is that Corki and Leona together have very high burst damage, and Corki also has very high mobility and decent sustain damage, coupled with Leona's CC, and this gives them a ton of kill potential. You need to be careful in your positioning so that you don't get caught out by Leona. Also, if they get some kills, they can become very strong, so if you die to them, you will need to start playing very safe. To avoid the strengths of this duo, you want to maintain bush control and make sure that you don't get caught out by Leona. Understand that she can kill wards with Corki if you place them right in front of her because of her Q. If you can, dodge Leona's E and then kite her around for some free damage. Getting a red buff from your jungler if you're on blue side will help you a lot in this lane. Really the best thing you can do though is just to dodge Leona's skills and then use your CC on Corki. There's really no reason to not use your CC on Corki, as he does a lot of damage in lane phase, and if you're trying to kite and kill Leona and ignoring Corki, he will probably get a double kill on you too. Also, the worst thing you can do against them is to let them snowball. If you make a mistake and screw up, that's totally okay, as long as you don't let them capitalize on that advantage. Now let's go over their weaknesses. They both have very little sustain. That means if you can come out on top in minor trades, you'll have a very good presence in the lane. Also, Leona is somewhat squishy early on before she can get items, especially if you can bait out her shield, because she has somewhat low base stats. Another weakness about Leona is that she is a skill shot champion, so if you can dodge her skills and then kite her around, it will be fairly easy to poke her down. Leona is fairly easy to kite as long as you can dodge her skills. Corki is also very squishy if you can bait out his Valkyrie and then CC him. Lastly, due to the all-in nature of Leona, if you can get ahead, it can be very easy to snowball against her, as long as you don't make any mistakes. To capitalize on their weaknesses, you want to poke them fairly often. They have no sustain, so if you can get them low, they will stay low for quite a while, except for their initial usage of potions at early levels. Leona has pretty much no poke, so use your range against her to your advantage. However, you need to have an escape route available, so either you don't push the lane, or you only poke when you have minions on your side. Just remember that when you go into poke, you are in range of Leona's E. If you are with a melee support that can't poke much, try to bait her into using her E on you, while the enemy AD is out of position. Leona is fairly squishy early, so if she is low from your poke, don't be afraid to start a fight, or even better, bait them into one. Also, if you pick a sustained support like Soraka or Sona, what you can do is constantly trade until Corki is out of mana, and then just bully him out of the lane. Just make sure that you don't die, and that you use your sustain correctly so that you too don't run out of mana. Note that these tips are valid even if you have a bad matchup in the lane. Overall, just do your best to avoid fights while also poking them down. Now let's go over some counter mechanics and major counter picks to beat them. Leona's E can be stopped by knockup abilities. This makes Janna a very solid counter to her, because if played correctly, you should be able to stop every single E with your tornado. Also, Janna is a ranged support with lots of kiting ability, and this makes her great on capitalizing on the weaknesses of Leona. Leona is also somewhat weak against Alistar, as he can mess up her CC. This is a somewhat even lane, but Alistar wins because he has a heal. You want to try to force minor skirmishes and then back off and heal up. You will eventually out-sustain them so hard that they can't do anything. Alistar, similar to Janna, can peel Leona off your carry, and set up some major kiting. The thing about Corki is that many of his counter picks are in turn countered by Leona, because they are champions like Kog'Maw or Draven that outdamage him. And against the duo of Leona Corki, you want to pick an AD that has high mobility to dodge Leona's skill shots. If you're confident in your dodging, you can try playing champions like Graves, Ezreal, etc., but you will have a very hard time if you can't dodge Leona's skills. The best counter pick on the AD part would have to be Caitlyn though. The reason being because she shuts down Leona almost completely, and she's pretty good against Corki. Her traps will zone out Leona, while her poke will remove Leona's lane presence, and give complete control of the lane to you. She also does well against Corki because she outranges and outpokes him, and their duo will have no sustain. So, that's it for my guide on how to counter the bot lane duo of Corki and Leona. Let me know if you have any feedback in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.